There it is. So I recorded a long, rambly thing, and I started crying at one point because I said some things, and I've decided to start over. I want to talk about Avengers number 20 and She-Hulk's freedom to be ugly, and what I think that says about our society. I was kind of going to go into... I still might. So, in this whole thing, in the last few years, with this body positivity movement and the bucking of beauty standards and all that, I kind of get it. I've always kind of been able to see it to a point. I've struggled with my weight for most of my life, since I was 9 or 10, and I developed an eating disorder based on partly because of the neglect I experienced, because of the neglect I experienced growing up, and not being able to handle my emotions. So I ate. I ate because I was bored. I ate because of this and that. But I've never said that I should be praised for that. I have never said that I should be accepting of that, or that other people should be accepting of that. When I say I've struggled with it, I have dealt with self-confidence issues. I still have self-confidence issues. I don't like myself. At the end of the day, I really don't. But at the same time, I've also always done the best I can with what I have. And I mean, I've been called ugly. I know I'm not everyone's cup of tea, but I still do my best, and I still present myself the way I want to be seen. In that I like to be put together. I like to show that I care about my appearance, and I care about what people think about. Not so much what people think about me, but I mentioned in one of my Belite reviews that I saw a snippet of a Cecil Castellucci video, or an interview with Cecil Castellucci, who wrote The Female Furies, and I mentioned that I watched part of the video, and then I'm like, no, I don't care about what you have to say, never mind the atrocious comic you've written. I can't stand that sweater you're wearing. And I did. I said even then, yes, I'm petty and I'm vain. If you don't show me that you take yourself seriously, why should I take you seriously? Why should I give you that consideration if you can't even be bothered to take care of yourself? And I live in redneck country. I live in northern Idaho. I live surrounded by people who don't try, who smell like cigarette smoke, and who have rotten teeth, and who wear clothes they got from Walmart. No one looks good in clothes from Walmart. I don't care if you're a size 2 or size 24, you don't look good in your clothes from Walmart. You just don't. And I also grew up really poor, especially during puberty, when I was 10 to like 15. We had to get clothes from Walmart. And I do remember a time when I didn't care. Okay, I guess I'm being that honest. I think part of why I care so much now is because I've had a time when I didn't care. And I look back on that, and I don't like it. So at the same time, I've also always struggled with, when I was growing up, there was no body positivity movement, and so there'd be the size 2 models in 17 magazine that I would flip through at the library. And just the standards were too much, I believe. When you have girls starving themselves to be thin, my sister is thin. My sister is gorgeous. But she still does all these diets, and she starves herself, and she takes hydroxycut and all these other things to be thinner. So from that perspective, from seeing how damaging Photoshop and things like that especially are, I understand the desire to buck conventional beauty standards in terms of that. But I don't think you go the opposite route and you embrace obesity. You don't throw away femininity, and you don't try to... I feel like a lot of times girls, especially who don't take care of themselves, would or who maybe take care of themselves but they don't put in any effort, they would say it's because they're intelligent and they have more important things to worry about than their looks. But I'm proof. Okay, but if you don't put in some effort, I'm not going to take you seriously. If you can't even brush your hair before coming to work, why should I take you seriously? Why should I respect you if you haven't given me any indication that there's anything about you to respect? So this is where in terms of beauty standards like that, I'm all for tearing that down. I'm all for not photoshopping models to create something unrealistic. However, on the other hand, I think beauty is so much more than that. Beauty is inspiring. Beauty is what pushes people to do more, to try harder, to achieve something, and especially men. There's a reason a lot of what I see with feminists when they don't like fairy tales and they don't like the princess being rescued, they only look at it from the perspective of, oh, well, the girl's not doing anything. Well, the girl is motivating the hero. The princess in the tower is the reason the knight fights the dragon. 'Cause if there wasn't a prize at the end of it, he'd just ride around and say, no, I'm good. I don't need any dragon fighting on my resume. I can make do. Beauty is a motivator. It pushes people. And like I said, men especially. I mentioned in one of my Belit reviews, my favorite Conan story is actually the Frost Giant's daughter. In part, just I love the writing of that, and it's a very simple story, which might be part of why I like it. But my favorite line in that story and in all of Robert E. Howard's work is when Conan's friends find him. Conan, what made you wander so far? Because he'd left a battlefield, and the only reason his friends went looking for him was there because he's like, okay, he's not dead, he's not here, we should go find him. And Conan, what made you wander so far? I saw a woman. And it's so simple, and maybe it's because maybe I'm a foolish romantic. Maybe I'm an idiot. That just appealed to me in a way, and it spoke to my old-fashioned values of a man seeing a woman and being willing to walk 1,000 miles. I mean, people laugh at the Proclaimers song 500 Miles, but, I mean, when you think about it, aside from the silly beat, it's really an incredibly romantic song if you just look at the lyrics. It's, I'd walk 500 miles, I'd walk 500 more just to be the man who walked 1,000 miles and wound up at your door. I don't know. I'd go for that. And that's it. That's what beauty is. It's a motivator. And from beauty, we get life. I mean, the woman's beauty inspires the man, and things happen, and you get life from that. And it's supposed to be beauty that nurtures that life. Like I said, I'm old-fashioned, and maybe I'm foolish and idealistic. But I think that in itself is beautiful. There's a beauty to those traditional gender roles, in that the man and the woman both have a place, and they both have a purpose. And it's when we started taking that purpose away in the 60s and 70s, and even in the 50s, when women, it was one thing during World War II, but then when we had the feminist movement, and it's women should be allowed to work, women should be outside the home. Well, why? What can you do out there that's more important than raising up your children? Than caring for the next generation? And instead we put children in school systems that are absolute crap. And we wonder why our society has fallen apart. And never mind that the whole Marxist revolution that led to the sexual revolution, I think it ruined everything. And we lost the beauty of the way our society was supposed to work. The way that, I don't know, to me it makes sense. Am I making any sense? I'm not sure I am. Because like I said, I'm I'm very used to being told I'm old-fashioned and unrealistic. And I under I understand that after World War II there was a sense of dissatisfaction for women going back into the home, and part of that is because we had industrialization, and suddenly we had dishwashers and garbage disposals and washing machines, which I've got no problem with. But I understand why they created dissatisfaction for women and why they got bored. I don't know. Why is that a bad thing, though? Why is it bad for a man to pursue a woman, to pursue beauty? I work in a store that caters to very young girls selling jewelry. And it's all about beauty and bling and all that. And you see these little girls come in and they're just wide-eyed looking at everything we have, which everything we have is cheap. But little girls want to be pretty. They want so continuing on another thought, I did say that this would be full of tangents, but something I did realize in all my rambling of my first attempts to make this video was, so we have Thor, and you can't tell me the Marvel writers aren't thinking of Chris Hemsworth, MCU Thor. I don't blame them. Dark World Thor. Yeah. I love Dark World Thor. Peak attractiveness to me at that point. But so we have Thor, who is kind of the alpha male, the ultra alpha male. And you expect me to believe he's interested in roided out She-Hulk. How does that make sense? How does it make sense that so feminists, going to clarify, feminists have created this whole beauty at any size, but now it's the freedom to be ugly and the freedom to schlump around in your baggy sweats and your stained sweatshirt, which I don't think should be allowed. Burn all sweatpants, burn sweat anything. Don't wear them. They're awful. My best friend wears them. I love her anyway, but darn it, Bridget, don't! I love you, but we can't. So we've gone from beauty at any size and that everyone should be beautiful, and I've talked about how, not so much in videos, I think it was in conversations where I've said that, people tell me I'm beautiful all the time, but I don't believe it anymore. Most of the time, it's, okay, do you mean that? And that, do you actually think I'm pretty? Or are you just saying that because it's a societal expectation? Because you're supposed to tell every girl she's pretty. And I mostly get that from women. At the same time, I've also felt judged more by women than by men. Mostly because I haven't met a lot of guys who I found attractive. But I mean, I still like male attention. I like being told I'm pretty. But yeah, when other women say it, I don't believe it. Not by a long shot. And especially after my time on Tumblr. And I was on Tumblr for 4 years. I know, it's amazing, I'm sane. But they would see, people would post pictures of people who weren't pretty. I'm going to just say that. And people would be like, oh, you're so pretty, you're so this and that. And I'm going, no. Because beauty is a science. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder in specific things, but it still comes down to basic rules, like the rule of symmetry. If someone's face is visibly different on one side than the other, you're less likely to find them attractive. It's why the hourglass figure is... The ideal female figure may change, but it's always an hourglass, in one form or another. Once you get to twigs, then you're just wrong. But the difference over the decades, what changes, isn't that... I mean, we never have a... There is no era where the pear shape, which is smaller on top with weight gain in the hips and everything, that's never been popular. The hourglass is popular and has endured because it's symmetrical. Because an hourglass is when the bust and the hips are the same size with a considerably smaller waist, so that you can see the differentiation. And if you are an hourglass, you can actually get away with quite a bit in terms of weight gain. Most people don't even realize I'm 200 pounds, which I hate, but at least I'm honest. Most people don't realize that I am that heavy because I have the nipped-in waist and because I have the hourglass, and so I can get away with a lot. But at the same time, I've made no secret, the men I'm attracted to are Dark World Thor, Aquaman, Jason Momoa Aquaman, Eret, son of Eret from How to Train Your Dragon 3. I have a friend? Can I call you a friend? If he watches this. I know a guy who, well, I know him online, who he's like exactly my type. He's just too young. But I made a pass at him, which for me was very brave. But even as I did it, it's like, okay, he is way out of my league. But you know what, screw it. I'll take a chance. I was very kindly turned down. But hey, we're still friends, alright? And so I know I'm pretty average. So it's like, what I want is way out of my league. But I acknowledge that. And that's why I think it's even harder for me to believe that Thor would be interested in She-Hulk. I mean, just looking at movie Thor, how do you go from Natalie Portman to roided out She-Hulk? In terms of comics, there is a hypersexualization to it. And there is a line for me where I'm not comfortable with it. And when I didn't really notice it when I first started reading comics. It didn't even cross my mind, really. It wasn't until I came back to them when I was 18 or 19. And there was a period where seeing some of the women in comics made me very self-conscious. But I got past that. Now, there are some things... There's... There was a point in Spider-Man Big Time, which was part of... I think it was like the early Dan Slott run, or middle Dan Slott run. There's a point where Spider-Man is working with Black Cat. And there's a panel where she's bent over in shock and just completely bent over at the waist, and I'm just like, no, no, that is clear cheesecake. And Black Cat's outfit has always bugged me, and same with Emma Frost's and some of the other ones where I'm like, that's not how breasts work. Speaking from experience, that's not how breasts work. You don't get to. No amount of double-sided tape is gonna hold that. But obviously, I outgrew that. I got to a point where I realized fictional drawings of women are not my problem. Photoshopped models? Yes. Those are a bit. But even only to a point. Believe it or not, as crazy and disjointed as this video is, it is a huge improvement over the first one. And there's no tears this time! Okay. My point is, I'm all for cheesecake. I'm a pinup artist. I draw sexy women who look like what I wished I looked like. In some cases. I'm actually quite diverse in my drawing in that I do everything from athletic to thick and curvy. That is diversity. That is what body diversity should be. It's accepting that different bone structures are different. And, sorry, girls have different bone structures. I'm not a size 2. I will never be a size 2 because I have hips. And I've gotten to the point where I'm actually okay with that. I still want to lose weight. But not to get to a size 2, just to be... I'd like to have a flat stomach. You know? And I think there is a difference between... We have girls who develop eating disorders, who become anemic or bulimic, because they're trying to achieve something unattainable or unhealthy, who just want to look like the pictures in a magazine. And I remember, even still, to a point, one of my biggest insecurities is my legs, and I will look at these toned models and celebrities, and I'll see their legs, and I'll be like, I wish I could get mine to look like that. Not so much anymore. No, still. I'm not gonna lie. I wouldn't want to be that skinny, but I would like to be thinner. But if you're trying to attain that, you're going to have problems. Instead of pushing an unrealistic standard, I think what we should do is teach girls to take care of themselves and to work with what they've got. And there's a reason there are fashion rules of how to accent your best features and how to hide the ones that aren't so good. And I think if you're raising a girl, teach her those rules. Teach her how to eat healthy, how to exercise. Not maniacally, not... If you don't want to jog, don't. I hate jogging. I can't jog. But, you know, teaching someone to be active for their health and for their own benefit. And not every woman is meant to be a weightlifter or whatever, but it's still... Teaching a girl to be their best self, I think, is what it really comes down to. And I think that's the beauty standard we should push, is a kind of custom tailored one. And I don't know. I don't know if I'm making any sense. There's more I could say, but I think that's about it, and that's a good place to stop. Okay. Well, sorry if this was a complete disaster. Maybe you got something from it. At the very least, maybe it can be a conversation starter. Anyway, I'm Song W. Erickson, pinup artist, comic fan, mermaid queen, barbarian lover. If you have any thoughts, I would love to hear them. Put them down in the comments, and we'll get back to you. Hopefully. If you could like the video, subscribe to my channel, maybe even share it. I'd appreciate it. Also, please check out my art pages on Facebook, Instagram, and kind of on Twitter. Yeah. Anyway, thank you for listening, if you got through all of this. And again, let me know what you think. I will see you again, most likely with Elite number 5. Should be interesting. Anyway, have a great day, you guys, and I'll talk to you later.